Unveiling the Hidden Battle, how understanding MS can change lives and reshape our world. Welcome, y'all, to a journey that's going to shake you to your core and light a fire in your soul. Today, we're diving deep into a world that's often misunderstood, overlooked, and downright scary for those living it every day. But don't you worry, because we've got a beacon of hope leading the way. I had the incredible privilege of sitting down with Tiffany Toney, a force of nature who's turning the tide in the fight against multiple sclerosis. Now, let me tell you, this woman is not just inspiring, she's a game changer, a rule breaker, and a heart mender all rolled into one. Tiffany's on a mission to revolutionize how we think about MS, especially in communities of color. And her passion is more contagious than a case of the giggles at a comedy club. So, buckle up, folks. We're about to embark on a roller coaster ride through the world of multiple sclerosis. And I promise you, by the end of this talk, you'll be ready to jump out of your seat and join the revolution. Now, picture this. You wake up one morning and suddenly your body feels like it's been hijacked by an alien force. Your vision's blurrier than a foggy windshield. Your limbs feel heavier than a sack of potatoes. In your brain, well, it's like someone's wrapped it in a thick layer of cotton candy. Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie, right? Well, for millions of folks living with multiple sclerosis, this ain't no movie. It's their daily reality. But here's the kicker, y'all. Despite affecting more people than the entire population of San Francisco, Mississippi is still shrouded in mystery, especially when it comes to how it impacts communities of color. It's like we're trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing and the picture on the box all smudged up. So, what exactly is this MS business? Well, imagine your body's immune system as an overzealous bouncer at a nightclub. Usually, it does a great job keeping out the troublemakers. But with MS, this bouncer goes rogue and starts attacking the VIP guests. In this case, the protective coating around your nerves. It's like your body's electrical system has gone haywire, sending mixed signals, slowing things down, or sometimes not sending any signals at all. Now, here's where it gets real, folks. MS doesn't just mess with your body, it can turn your whole world upside down faster than a Texas twister. Imagine trying to climb the corporate ladder or run a business when your own body seems to be playing a cruel game of Simon Says with you. It's like trying to win a three-legged race while your partner's running in the opposite direction. But let me tell you about our hero, Tiffany. This woman looked MS straight in the eye and said, "Not today, Satan." She's taking this bull by the horns and is showing us all how to ride it like a rodeo champion. Her message is clearer than a bell on a still night. Understanding MS is crucial, but knowing how to advocate for your health, that's the real secret sauce. Now, let's drop some knowledge bombs that'll make your jaw hit the floor. Did you know that MS affects nearly 1 million people in the good old US of A? That's more folks than you'd find at a Taylor Swift concert. And get this, it's 2 to 3 times more common in women than in men. But here's where it gets really interesting, and frankly, a bit concerning. Studies have shown that Black individuals with MS often face unique challenges, including delayed diagnosis and different disease characteristics. Why is this happening, you ask? Well, it's like trying to bake a cake with a broken oven, expired ingredients, and a recipe written in hieroglyphics. We've got a perfect storm of factors: a lack of awareness, limited access to specialized healthcare, and even some outdated notions in the medical community about how MS presents in people of color. It's frustrating, it's dangerous, and it's high time we did something about it. But here's where Tiffany's wisdom really shines brighter than a disco ball at a 70s party. She hammers home the point that knowledge isn't just power, it's your lifeline when you're dealing with MS. Understanding this condition, its quirks, its treatments, and how it crashes your life's party, that's your first step in taking control of your health journey. Let me paint you a picture that'll really drive this point home. The Consortium of Multiple Sclerosis Centers has been shouting from the rooftops about the importance of patient advocacy in MS care. They found that patients who advocate for themselves navigate the healthcare maze more effectively than a GPS with a turbo boost. It's like having a secret map in a complex video game. Suddenly, you're not just wandering aimlessly, hoping to stumble upon the right path. But here's the rub: advocacy isn't always a walk in the park, especially when you're already wrestling with a challenging condition. That's where organizations like the MS Coalition and the Multiple Sclerosis International Federation come in. They're like your personal cheer squad, providing support, resources, and a megaphone to amplify your voice when you need it most. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, and that's all well and good for some folks, but what about those of us facing real barriers? Poverty, lack of education, insurance issues, and you're right to ask that. These are real challenges that many people with MS face, especially in underserved communities. It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together. Possible, but dang near impossible. But hold on to your hats, because this is where it gets exciting. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society is doing some groundbreaking work that'll knock your socks off. They're not just sitting pretty, hoping things will change. They're rolling up their sleeves and getting elbow deep in the trenches. They're advocating for legislation to protect the rights of people with MS and other disabilities. They're collaborating with other organizations to ensure that comprehensive, affordable health care and therapies are available to everyone who needs them. And let me tell you, the efforts are paying off like a winning lottery ticket. We're seeing real improvements in access to health care and increased awareness of MS. It's like watching a garden grow. Slow at first, but with patience and care, it blossoms into something so beautiful it'll bring a tear to your eye. But here's the thing that really got me fired up during my conversation with Tiffany: the power of personal advocacy. The Multiple Sclerosis Foundation has been beating this drum, and it's a rhythm we all need to dance to. They're encouraging individuals to educate themselves about MS, understand their rights, and seek support from healthcare professionals and advocacy organizations. It's like being handed the keys to your own personal kingdom. Suddenly, you're in charge. Now, I know what you're thinking, and that sounds great, but I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. How am I supposed to advocate for myself? Well, let me tell you, it's simpler than making instant grits. It starts with asking questions. Don't be afraid to speak up at your doctor's appointments. If something doesn't feel right, say so. If you don't understand something, ask for clarification. It's like being a detective in your own medical mystery novel. Every question gets you closer to solving the case. And here's a little secret: you don't have to do it alone. There are support groups, online communities, and organizations dedicated to helping people with MS. It's like having a whole team of superheroes in your corner, ready to swoop in and save the day when you need it most. But let's get real for a moment, folks. Advocacy isn't just about fighting for yourself, it's about paving the way for others. Every time you speak up, every time you push for better care or increased awareness, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping everyone who comes after you. It's like planting a mighty oak tree. You might not get to enjoy its shade, but generations to come will be grateful for your foresight. Now, I want to circle back to something Tiffany said that hit me harder than a Texas sized tumbleweed. She talked about the importance of empowerment through knowledge. And let me tell you, that's not just a catchy phrase, it's a lifeline for many people living with MS. Think about it this way: when you're diagnosed with MS, it can feel like you're lost in a dense forest with no map and no compass. Every shadow looks threatening, every sound makes you jump like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. But knowledge is like suddenly finding a flashlight in a guidebook. The forest is still there, but now you can see the path ahead. You know which plants are poisonous and which are safe. You understand the sounds of the forest and know which ones signal danger and which are just part of the natural rhythm of life. That's what Tiffany is advocating for: equipping people with MS and their families with the tools they need to navigate this challenging terrain. It's about understanding your treatment options, knowing your rights in the workplace, and being able to communicate effectively with your healthcare team. It's like being given a Swiss Army knife when you're lost in the wilderness. Suddenly, you got tools to help you survive and thrive. But here's the kicker: this knowledge isn't just empowering for individuals, it has a ripple effect that can transform entire communities faster than gossip at a small town barbecue. When one person becomes informed and starts advocating for themselves, they often become a beacon for others. They share their knowledge, their experiences, their triumphs and challenges. And suddenly, what was once a solitary journey becomes a community effort. It's like watching a single firefly light up the night, only to be joined by hundreds more until the whole sky is aglow. Tiffany shared a story with me that really brings this point home. And let me tell you, it'll tug at your heartstrings harder than a country ballad. She talked about a time when she was struggling with her MS symptoms and feeling more overwhelmed than a cat in a doghouse. The healthcare system felt like a maze with no exit, and she was drowning in a sea of medical jargon and conflicting advice. But then, like a lighthouse in a storm, she found a support group for Black women with MS. And let me tell you, it was like someone flipped a switch and turned on all the lights. In this group, she found women who understood her struggles on a level deeper than the Grand Canyon. They shared tips on managing symptoms, navigating insurance issues, and communicating with doctors. But more than that, they shared their stories of resilience and hope. It was like finding a family she never knew she had, a sisterhood forged in the fires of adversity. And here's the beautiful part: Tiffany didn't just take from this group, she gave back more generously than a grandmother at Thanksgiving dinner. She shared her own experiences, her own hard won knowledge, and in doing so, she became part of this beautiful cycle of support and empowerment. It's like that old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. By empowering herself, Tiffany was able to empower others, creating a wave of change that's still rippling out today. Now, I know we've covered more ground than a marathon runner on caffeine, and you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed. But here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. First, understanding MS is crucial, not just for those living with the condition, but for all of us. It's about creating a more compassionate, inclusive society where everyone's health challenges are recognized and respected. It's like building a house where everyone has a room, no one left out in the cold. Second, advocacy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Whether you're dealing with MS or any other health condition, being able to stand up for your needs and rights can make a world of difference. And remember, advocacy isn't just about big dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as asking a question or sharing your story. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. Even the smallest action can create ripples that reach far and wide. And finally, never underestimate the power of knowledge and community. In the face of any challenge, knowing that you're not alone and that you have the tools to face what's ahead can be more empowering than a superhero cape. It's like having an army at your back when you're facing a giant. Suddenly, the odds don't seem so insurmountable. So, what can you do with this information? Well, if you or someone you know is dealing with MS, I encourage you to reach out to organizations like the National Multiple Sclerosis Society or the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation. They have a wealth of resources and support available, like a treasure chest just waiting to be opened. If you're a healthcare provider, I challenge you to take a good hard look at how you're serving patients with MS, especially those from underrepresented communities. Are there biases in your approach that need to be addressed? Are you providing culturally competent care? It's like checking your car's alignment. Sometimes a small adjustment can make a world of difference in the journey. And for everyone else, I dare you to learn more about MS and other chronic conditions. Share what you learn with others. Be an ally and an advocate for those in your community who might be struggling. Remember, compassion and understanding can be just as powerful as any medical treatment. It's like being a lighthouse in a storm. Your light can guide others to safety. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought that Tiffany shared, and it stuck with me like gum on a hot sidewalk. She said, MS may be part of my story, but it doesn't define my story. I'm the author of my life, and I choose to write a tale of resilience, hope, and empowerment. Y'all, that's the kind of spirit that changes the world. It's the kind of attitude that turns challenges into opportunities and obstacles into stepping stones. And it's a reminder that no matter what life throws our way, we have the power to shape our narrative. I tell you. So I challenge you. How will you use your voice? How will you advocate for yourself and others? How will you contribute to creating a world where everyone, regardless of their health status, can thrive? Remember, every journey begins with a single step. And sometimes that step is simply asking a question, seeking knowledge, or reaching out for support. So take that step. Be curious, be brave, be an advocate. The world needs your voice, your story, your passion. And here's my final call to action, folks. Don't let this conversation end here. Take what you've learned and spread it like wildfire. Talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers about MS. Share resources on social media. Volunteer with MS organizations. Donate if you can. And most importantly, if you see someone struggling, reach out a hand. Sometimes the simplest act of kindness can be the lifeline someone needs. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all part of this beautiful, messy, complicated tapestry of humanity. And just like a quilt isn't complete without all its patches, our world isn't complete without each and every one of us, MS or not. So let's make a pact right here and now. Let's commit to being more understanding, more compassionate, and more proactive in our approach to MS and all chronic conditions. Let's pledge to be the change we want to see in the healthcare system. Let's promise to lift each other up, to be the voice for those who can't speak for themselves, and to never, ever give up hope. Because with knowledge, advocacy, and a whole lot of love, we can move mountains, part seas, and yes, even conquer MS. The power is in our hands, folks. Let's use it wisely, use it boldly, and use it to create a world where everyone can live their best life. Mississippi be damned. Thank you. And remember, your voice matters. Your story matters. And together we can change the world one conversation at a time. Now go out there and make some noise.